All right, guys, appreciate everybody joining. If you can give us about 30, 45 more seconds to let everybody get in, that'd be great. All right, so again, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We got 4 tips to target and convert new customers, and let's jump right in. So let's talk about today's customers a little bit. The average number of dealerships visited when purchasing a car is now down to about 2.3. If you look back 4 or 5 years ago, that number was closer to 3.5 to 4. So each individual customer nowadays is going to 2.3. So it's obviously lessening the opportunities for floor traffic and your opportunity to work with customers. 80% of consumers start their search with a different manufacturer in mind than the manufacturer brand that they ultimately end up purchasing. Probably not breaking news on that front, but I mean, it is something to be considering in your marketing efforts. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of people, again, kind of looking at doing one thing when they're doing in the research phase. Maybe they're looking at a Toyota and they ultimately end up buying a Honda. Could be even looking at a Ford and buying a Honda, whatever. So there's a lot of people when they're in that initial research stage, they're just not sure what they're looking to buy. But if we want to look at the bright side, today's auto consumers are in market longer than ever, with the majority shoppers in market for more than 2 months. You know, this longer purchase journey creates a great opportunity for dealers to be able to get in front of people during that purchase decision and that purchase journey. So we're going to talk about some tactics today that is going to do exactly that, give us some ideas on how we can get in front of them. So here's some things that you need to know about today's customers. You have about 8 seconds to make a compelling headline on a landing page. After that 8 seconds, they're going to leave. So make sure that your headlines and your landing pages are compelling, or like I said, you're going to lose them. Approximately 96% of visitors that come to your website are not ready to buy. So again, it's very important to re-engage with customers more than just once. So we're talking about remarketing and things of that ilk that we'll touch on in a little bit. The more landing pages you have, the more leads you are likely to get. Again, kind of makes sense. More conversion points, conversion opportunities for consumers. So you want to make sure that not only do you have a volume of landing pages, but they're quality landing pages and that they're getting indexed properly by Google. And product videos can increase purchases of any product by about 144%. So consumers today, and again, we'll touch on it here in just a second, are more video driven. They want to be essentially spoon-fed information as opposed to having to go online, research it, read it, go through articles, blogs, what have you. They want to be able to just watch a video, learn about what they're interested in, compare and contrast, different models, makes, whatever, through video content. So success is about taking advantage of an opportunity, and I think today there's a great opportunity with what we're talking about in targeting and attracting new consumers. So the number one tip that I have is research your competitors and find out who their customers are. Again, seems pretty straightforward, but so many dealers that I work with don't do this. They don't research their competitors, or if they do, they'll research their competitors and they'll say, okay, great, well, let me just figure out who my top competition is and how I can go against them. So on average, dealers are only analyzing 12% of their data, leaving a lot of untapped opportunities and critical insights. So what does this mean to you? If you look at the slide, I mean, it's pretty straightforward on where people rank as far as somewhat competitive, being much more competitive. Essentially what this slide is saying is that, do your research, look into what your competition is doing, look at their customers. Who are they targeting? Why are they targeting? How are they targeting these customers? It's really important to be able to take that data and then you can incorporate it into your own campaigns, and that way you know whether you need to use like an attack or defend type strategy when marketing to these customers. So not only is this an inexpensive effort, because it doesn't obviously cost a lot to be able to go out, collect this data, but it'll help you identify what I've got highlighted here as dark spots in your competitor's process. In other words, things that you're doing very strongly or very well, areas of opportunities they aren't doing well on, or vice versa. Maybe that there's a tactic that they're employing that's super, super strong. Maybe they're doing a great job on their service side, and you can take a look and see what are they doing on the service side to get service customers in that's costing you money in your service department. So again, here's a couple things you can start looking at Look at their website, obviously. Look at their pay-per-click advertising. Look at their SEO. So are they ranking on page 1 of Google? And if so, what keywords, key phrases are they ranking for on page 1 of Google? Or again, are they on the opposite end of the spectrum? Are they, pages 8, 9, or 10 where nobody's absolutely finding them? And then don't forget about social media channels. And YouTube, by the way, is a social media channel. So it's the number 2 search engine behind behind Google. Obviously, Google owns YouTube. But it's very important to see what they're doing on social media channels. How are they engaging with their customers? What things can you do? Maybe steal or / borrow from them on social media that you could use. So again, just looking at the dealership's website itself, look at some of the conversion opportunities. Are there conversion opportunities on their website? If not, again, take a look at that. Take a look at your own website as well too. So if you're not listing your address, if you're not listing a phone number, and it's got to be on there more than once. If you're using a tactic on a website called a sticky header, that's something that's super important that you'd want to do. So again, you're trying to make it ease of use for your consumers to contact or engage with you. What type of content do you have on there, and what kind of content does your competition have on their website as well too? The images that are on the website, are they quality images? Are they not good images? Not that you have to have all your cars facing the exact same direction, because again, consumers just don't care about that stuff. But is the clarity there? Do you have more than 2 or 3 pictures of each vehicle? Do you have call to action on your website? And does your competition have calls to action on their website? If so, what are those CTAs? And then what's the mobile experience? Does it take your website a long time to load? Same thing with your competition. Does it take theirs a long time to load? Is it an easy experience? Is it easy to navigate? That type of stuff. That's what you want to look for. So here's an example of a used car search. I searched used cars for sale, and obviously the number one, or one of the number one things in most markets that are going to come up is third-party aggregators, which is fine. They have a huge national footprint. They have a ton of inventory out there, and it's really hard to compete against some of them. But what you want to do is be able to look and see, are my competitors there? Are they ranking? And if so, what opportunities are there for me to be able to either rank or outrank my competition within these areas? Here's an example of a customer doing a pretty generic new car search. And on the left-hand side is an example of, again, kind of a generic third-party ad or a vendor ad. And on the right-hand side is an example of a really good quality ad. You want to create more opportunities for your customers to engage. You want to serve them relevant content within the ad, as well as, again, create more opportunities for them to engage through, like with current offers or specifically about models. In this example, it's a Honda CR-V or a Honda Accord, Honda Civic, things of that ilk. You want to make it easy for your customers to find you. That's the most important thing on the internet, is making it easy for them to find you and making it easy for them to interact with you. Tip number 2 is invest in digital channels. Again, not exactly breaking news on this one as well, but again, some people tend to overthink their strategies when it comes to digital, and they think, I just got to throw thousands upon thousands of dollars at it in order to really be competitive on the internet. And while it is aggressive in the automotive category as far as the dollar spends that are out there, I think it's really important to do it in a smart way. So when researching a new vehicle, 7 of the top 10 sources consumers turn to are digital channels. Again, kind of makes sense. People are more apt or more likely to go onto a computer and start their initial stages of the research. Dealership sites take up about 83% of that, 7 of the top 10. Then it's followed up by OEM sites and then search engines. So a lot of people think, everybody's going to third-party aggregator sites. Well, they do go there, but it's not the top sites. It's your website, followed by your manufacturer, followed by search engines. So it's important to have a solid strategy behind your search engine optimization, search engine management tactics. The other thing that you want to do that is going to go a long, long way is targeting your ads. It's very cost effective for targeting on both Facebook and Google. The audiences that you can drill down to with both Facebook and Google are ridiculous. Their tactics, you can look at income, household, how many cars are in a driveway. It's very, very granular, the type of targeting tactics that you can do on both Facebook and Google. Highly recommend that as a strategy. Another one that I highly recommend, obviously, is VIN-specific marketing. And we'll take it a step further here in just a second, but a lot of people do this. I mean, be smart with what you're doing on your VIN-specific campaigns. Make sure that you're, check those campaigns. Make sure they're deep linking back into the VDPs, that even though you're running an ad, that it's not just linking back to your landing page on your website or your home page on your website, which again is a frustrating tactic for consumers when they see an ad. Oh yeah, I remember I went and looked at that vehicle at that lot. I'm interested in it. I definitely want to click on this ad, and then they click on it, and they're back on your homepage on your website, having to redo that search again. Not a great customer experience, and that'll drive your bounce rate up significantly. But one of the things that I do definitely recommend is incorporating, VIN specific into a paid advertising, or in other words, pay-per-click campaign. It's very cost effective, very robust. I mean, and you can see in the example, I mean, somebody, they're on Google, they did a search, they went to the website, they looked at the car, but for whatever reason, they didn't take action. Again, you're going to have to interact with the consumer on average somewhere between 7 and 10 times before they take any kind of purchase decision. But you can see that they retargeted an ad or remarketed an ad on this, in this case, a weather.com billboard. So again, it's about keeping your inventory in front of them as frequently as you possibly can in the most cost-effective way you can. And the easiest way and best way to do that is through targeting. I mentioned this earlier, so start producing quality video. Again, if you look at the quarterly revenue trends, and this is 1996 through 2017, obviously 96, not a big deal. 2017, it was a very, very big deal. A little over $25 billion spent in video advertising, and that number's just going to continue to grow. 92% of people, of mobile video viewers share videos with others. So again, think in terms of how I can stretch my revenue dollars or my advertising dollars. One great way to do it is through video because they're so shareable. People will see it. Oh, hey, do you like this car? What do you think about this car? And again, it's free advertising for your dealership because they're just putting it out there for you. 55% of people watch videos online every day, and about half of the internet users look for video related for a product or service. So again, I mean, people want video. It's just ease of use, ease of information, and I highly encourage everybody to start producing quality videos. Again, here's some more statistics for you about how people love video. 52% of car shoppers find online video ads are the most useful in their shopping process. Again, it gives you a great opportunity to be able to go through, and we'll talk about some things that you can do, but doing vehicle walkarounds, showing new tech off on cars, things of that ilk is how you can engage with your consumers, and then being able to throw that up on YouTube, and then obviously be able to use that on your website, which is a quality backlink, which SEO is going to be strong, and Google's going to like that because, well, again, Google owns YouTube. So here's some advice for some videos. Film a weekly series showcasing the best new models on your lot. Obviously, you don't have an unlimited resource for new cars. So again, just go through each week. If you're a Ford dealer, you're going to shoot a Ford F-150, but you've got multiple models. You can start off with an XL and work your way up to a King Ranch type series. Same thing if you're doing your SUVs. It's each one of the models, go out, film it, do a walk around, do a touch point on it, talk about the differences between the two. If there's tech on the vehicle, always talk the tech because that's what consumers are looking for. Post walkthrough videos of the most popular models. Another thing you can do as well that's extremely effective is posting walkthrough models or videos, of your dealership to be able to give consumers an experience. So I've seen it where people have narrated over videos where they've walked through a dealership and talked about, as a customer, here's what you're going to experience, here's what you're going to see as soon as you come into our dealership, here's where our service department is at, introducing them to different, whether it be a service advisor, a service director, new car sales manager, your general sales manager, general manager, whatever. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do with video in your dealership. And then obviously you want to showcase new features or redesign models. And I touched on it a minute ago about the tech features. But anytime you've got a redesigned model, you want to get that video out there immediately to be able to engage and inform consumers of, hey, it's new. Right now, the Ford Explorer was just recently remodeled. So again, it's a great opportunity to be able to say, here's the new design, here's the differences between a 2020 and a 2019. And if there's any manufacturer incentives or anything of that, again, you can talk about some of that stuff at the same time. And then employee profiles, get to know our team. I talked about doing a dealership walkthrough to be able to tell consumers where to go. But it's always nice to be able to know who you're working with. Again, do a quick, 5-8 minute video on one of your service advisors or one of your service techs. If you've got a tech that's been at your business for 20, 25 years, why wouldn't you want to put a video out there on your tech to be able to introduce them? I mean, who better to work on my car than a tech that's got 20, 25 years experience? He's ASE certified. He's only using manufacturer suggested parts, and then have him be able to talk through some of the things that he does on a daily basis. It sets him apart and makes it a little bit different. So a couple things you can do other than obviously YouTube is look at platforms such as connected TV, Amazon Video for your video distribution. These are engaged audiences. They're growing audiences, but they're super engaged audiences. And again, the targeting tactics behind this is much different than your traditional TV. With a traditional TV broadcast, I'm putting my commercial out there on ABC. I'm going to probably wrap it around the local news because, hey, that's where most of the eyeballs are at, is around the local news. But with connected TV or Amazon Video, I can now go in and kind of use those same tactics that I talked about earlier with Facebook or with Google to be able to say, okay, here's how we're going to target. And I want to only target people between the ages of 18 to 34 that have a household income of $50,000 a year or greater. Maybe they're college educated. Again, there's so many different ways of being able to target. So tip number 4 is to incorporate your data into your campaigns. We talked a little bit about it with pay-per-click, but I want to get into it a little bit deeper. The goals is to measure how well your site, an app fulfills, your goals within Google Analytics. I should have prefaced that, is what we're looking at here is the Google Analytics. So there's a couple different things that you want to set up to get actionable data from Google Analytics. One of them is your goals. Goals measures how well your site or your app, for most dealers, obviously it's a site, how well you're targeting to your objectives. It lets you see, what kind of people you want to attract to your site. There's so many different things, again, that you can kind of target. So you want to make sure that you're setting up goals. You're looking at uncovering information such as demographic or psychographic information, how people are finding your website, super important. So again, that you're maximizing your ROI. Why spend money on ABC site if it's not working for you? Well, if you've got your GA set up right on your website, you can be able to look and see where people are coming from. You can discover your best keywords, what's performing and what's not performing. Super important, again, to know how to shift your budget. So again, what's hot today is not going to be hot in 3 to 4, 6 months down the road. So you should always be looking at, optimizing your campaigns, but looking at your keywords and seeing what's ranking and what's not. And then understand why your bounce rate is so high. Again, is it one of those ads that is supposed to be linking into a specific vehicle, but it's linking back to your homepage? Something like that. So there's always, oftentimes, reasons behind a higher bounce rate. Sometimes for dealers, it's because inherently of the business. Consumers go online, they go to Google, they do a search because they just need your phone number because they want to schedule service. So oftentimes your bounce rate is going to be a little bit higher just because of that. But again, if you can put some compelling messaging on the homepage of your website to try to drive them into that service page, and then again to get them to take action within the service page, whether it be scheduling service, making a phone call from there, that can reduce your bounce rate as well too. So, as a prospect starts engaging with your site, calling the dealership, scheduling appointments, things of that ilk, there's a couple things you want to do. Leveraging both your first-party data as well as somebody's third-party data. Third-party data is just data that is collected, like with us. We use a company called IHS Polk that we partner with to be able to get third-party data. And I can combine that third-party data along with your first-party data to be able to more granularly target your customers and, again, maximize your ROI. So there's some things on that scale that you would want to make sure that you're doing that makes a lot of sense, again, helps target new customers for your dealership, which ultimately, everybody wants to do. It's great to get the win backs. It's great to keep the customers, but everybody wants to try to get new customers to their website. So how do we do that? It's by, again, going and looking at your audience. It's on your website, comparing that to other audiences that are out there called lookalike audiences, and then targeting and going after them on different channels. So, here's an example of a variety of some data elements. So, whether it be registration records, vehicles owned, household income, things of that ilk is source data. And then it just goes on through see data predictors and modeled audiences. So essentially what this is talking about is you can look at a bunch of different variables as far as what you want to look for. If you want to get specific into models, if you're a Honda dealer and you're looking at a Honda Civic and I need to target specific people to my Honda Civic, I probably don't want to spend a bunch of money targeting or trying to attract and target people of a certain age and or household income, because they're probably not interested in that Honda Civic, but they may be interested in whether it be a Honda Pilot or Honda Accord, things of that ilk. So you want to make sure that you're budgeting and targeting appropriately. So top advice for pinning your data is run some personalized ad campaigns, send tailored marketing messages back to those consumers. Again, we're talking about people that's from your database as well as those third-party sites. So you want to send some tailored messaging back to them, and you want to precisely target your audience. So again, it goes back to talking specifically about thinking in terms of, let's put a little thought into who do we want to target, why do we want to target them, what are we trying to accomplish through this digital campaign, and then obviously reaching out to new customers. How do we do that? Again, we can do it through a couple different factors, but again, you talk about lookalike audiences, modeling, things of that ilk to be able to reach out to new customers and drive them back to your dealership. Do we want to target everybody in the world? No, we do not want to target everybody in the world. We just want to target the right consumers, give them the right message at the right time. Digital marketing is definitely hands down the best way of doing that. And again, this is an example of, you may pay a little over $10 for one client, you may pay less than $3 for another client. But again, it's about targeting people, making sure that you're using the right practices. Looking at your data. It's super important to have a hands-on understanding of your data. If you don't know who's coming to your website, if you don't know where you're spending your money, if you don't know with Google specifically, what's working for me right now, what's not, what phrases are hot right now, which ones aren't. So you should be constantly looking at that, monitoring it, and optimizing your campaigns. And that's kind of what this is talking about. Reaching the right audience at the right time with the right message. Super important, easy to do if you're employing the right tactics, but sometimes not as easy to do. So this is my information, by the way. My name's Kevin. I'm the Regional VP of Sales here at J&L Marketing. Any questions that we have on the webinar today, I'll gladly respond to, or will be responding back to via email. So again, reach out to me at my email address, call me on my mobile, whatever I can do to help you guys out, I would greatly appreciate it. And again, thank you for your time.